always restart it.
Hello.
That's it.
We're going.
Started right now. It's official.
Yep. All right, everybody. All of you that have been waiting, asking, the moment is finally here. We have a legit setup, much better than the last one. So no more equipment excuses. I'm Brendan Varon,
Justin Rakovitz.
and welcome to the pilot episode of the LifeCall podcast. Just gonna be a little bit of us riffing about what we're gonna be doing.
We hope the audio is good and everything. Seems to be
Yeah.
good. We ran a little test, but we're just fingers crossed that this one comes out good. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every other podcast I've listened to, their pilots, maybe even this one I'm listening to right now, they're 40 episodes in, and I listened from episode 1 going forward, but in episode 40 they were always talking about how bad the audio quality was in the beginning. They hired an audio engineer to go back and remaster all their episodes.
Well, I got one of those titles.
I know, exactly.
So we got engineer, but
yeah. No, I mean, you do the filming and stuff with the camera and the audio on that, so it's you kind of know what to look for with shitty stuff.
I got a basic understanding. Podcast is a whole different genre.
Yeah, because it's a controlled environment with just us talking about it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've learned a lot since we've had this
idea.
idea.
Honestly, when you asked me about doing this, I was like, dude, if Justin can handle the tech part and I just got to worry about yapping, we're good, because fucking Justin knows his shit. And then we started running into issues with the first setup, and I don't know, it was just kind of oh shit.
Yeah. For all the viewers, we had an initial setup that we recorded that one small segment on that we put a picture on the Instagram of when Eric was here, but that whole podcast had to just get scrapped because that was the audio cues were just my mic was crystal clear, and then yours was a little bit worse, and then Eric's was barely picking up anything.
I know. It also it doesn't help that I had a buzzing in my headset the entire time, every time we try to record.
Yeah.
So it's just really nice to have just nice clear audio and kind of be able to focus on what we're going to do going forward. So I guess, to transition a little bit, what we're going to do with this pod is it's just kind of going to be us riffing about New England stuff going on. And then we want to have a lot of New England based guests come on about what they do, whether it's drifting, hiking, biking, outdoor activity in general, maybe health and wellness. Also, there's a lot of young business owners and entrepreneurs we know that, they have a lot of energy about what they do, and, love to give them an opportunity to kind of talk about, what it's like to run a business, because, I just transitioned careers and I'm in a small shop with a really intensive owner, and it's just working with him every day, seeing what goes into running a business, let alone starting one. There's just a lot of different topics we want to cover. A lot of different people that, have interesting lives outside of just the work they do, their hobbies. And, just everyone's life's really interesting when you look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say most lives are pretty interesting. I know some boring people, but we won't have them on.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the pod is what's your life calling?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not specifically to we will definitely have more, athletes, if you want to say it like that.
Yeah.
Athletic guests, just because of who we know it's easier to get those type of people on. But obviously we don't want to just stick with that.
Yeah, exactly. I think to start, it'll be a lot of, what our interests are, our key interests are. So the drifting, the hiking, the biking, and stuff like that. And then from that, once we've established, a repertoire, because let's be honest, we're going to grow with this podcast. So forgive us for the growing pains. Might be a little awkward at times. Might ramble a little bit more than we should. Let us know if we fuck it up like that.
For real. DM us on Instagram.
Give me the feedback. I love feedback. That's how we all learn and go forward in life. So, we're going to try to iron out the kinks of this podcast as it goes forward. And then once we got a good established base, then maybe we're going to branch out more into things and topics that we're not entirely sure of, or maybe, have some guests that we don't know before the episode or something like that come on. So,
yeah, for real. We're just going with the flow.
Yeah, exactly. Life changes all the time. So, the podcast is going to change all the time too. So
couldn't have said it better.
Yep.
So anyways,
intros.
Well, I wanted to just state that most episodes are going to be with 3 people or 4.
Yeah.
This is the first episode, so it's just kind of us rambling, giving you the intel on what this whole thing's about.
Also, like, you can't really start having guests on if like the two people that are gonna host and co-host don't have like a repertoire recording ahead of time. So it's like this is gonna serve as like a big ironing things out and like looking back at it and getting some feedback and like to each other. So
all right. So why don't you introduce yourself? I mean, we know you're Brendan Varon, the professional yapper.
Yeah. So
but like, what's up?
Brendan Varon, professional yapper. Honestly, like the last, I'd call it like 4, 5, 6 years of my life, like I've just been, trying to sort shit out. But finally just landed somewhere in a career that I feel like pretty at home with.
You've had how many jobs?
I've lost track.
Double digits or no?
No.
Okay,
maybe
okay.
like no, maybe. I mean, like it's hard to count like your first jobs when you're young and shit.
Yeah.
But like I'd say like I'd start counting the jobs like post high school when I was like, yo, let me like try out every little field I can, because like once upon a time, like I was destined to go to like college to be an engineer, like applied, WPI, Rensselaer, like all these different schools.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't you want to be a teacher at some point?
So I went for, I always thought I was like set on being an engineer. That's just like what I wanted to do because I was good with numbers, math, and like mechanical skills. But then like you kind of learn that like being an engineer doesn't always mean that you're going to be doing the manual hand labor all the time, as you were telling me earlier.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand that is not how that goes.
Exactly. So like when I was in the engineering classes, I was like kind of getting a little bored and realizing maybe I should have taken some of the other classes like, wood tech or, some like stuff like that instead. So I wanted to be an engineer, and then I just decided like I was going to go into trades. And I was an electrician for a while, and then I did concrete casting and finishing, like making nice staircases and like I call it like decorative concrete fixtures for like houses and whatnot like that.
Yeah.
And so like did both those things, and the concrete was a little too dirty for me. The electrical, I didn't like going from place to place. I realized I just wanted to be in the same location, going to the same place, doing something every day. So long story short, landed as I'm a CNC machinist now at American Tool in Lincoln, Rhode Island. It's a pretty badass shop. We do a lot of big defense contracting stuff, a lot of like submarine parts, aircraft carriers, like making parts for EB. Also, they do a lot of like heavy industry stuff. So metal, any metal foundries, oil drilling, pipeline rigging, all that stuff. We make the parts for it. So big heavy steel. We got cranes at every machine, and it's just really intricate, real fun. It uses the engineering aspect that I was always looking for with the math, and then it also combines like getting your hands dirty every single day. I mean, I've been at it now for since August when I started going to school for it.
A few months for sure.
Yeah, interned at a couple different shops, landed a job at American Tool where I interned, and it's been a dream come true. Really, really attentive owner. Really
it's
cares.
Good to see you finally settling in somewhere.
Yeah. Like every other time I've had a job, even like the electrical, doing that for 2.5 years, like I never really felt settled.
Yeah.
But it feels good to finally feel like I found my calling.
Love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Life's calling.
Yeah, exactly. It does feel like my life's calling. I mean, like every shop I've been in, there's fucking hot rod builders, huge car guys, like there's always like a massive amount of characters. And but not to put the other trades I've been in down or the shops I've been in down, but like it feels like it's a higher tier of intricacy and like interest in hobbies, not just going to the bar after work and bullshit.
Yeah, it's like meaningful to your life.
Yeah, exactly. And it bleeds into like what you want to do as your hobbies.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, that's kind of why I got into engineering.
Exactly.
Was like kind of like growing up, being able to like, I don't want to say like I had a different mindset, but just like taking things apart and shit like that. Like,
nah, you definitely do have a different mindset than most people.
Yeah.
100%. Acknowledge that.
Yeah, I guess. Very like a strategic, analytical.
Yeah,
mindset.
No, 100%. Like hardcore. Like, I think that's an interesting dynamic that like, cause like I've seen throughout our friendship is like, there's like you speak to like the engineering, like strategical part of my brain that's like always there. And it's just like, it's kind of like you have the engineering and the mathematics from my brain, and like the analytical shit, and like that's why we get along really well, is like we have that same approach to stuff.
Yeah.
Even though it might not seem like it with me all the time, it's in there.
Just sometimes it's hard to get.
Dude, you gotta let go sometimes, man. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm not good at.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
like that's the engineer in me, where it's like everything has to be like the way it should be, and like I don't just go off the cuff of things. So like even just like spitballing like for like a podcast is like really like different for me to do.
Yeah.
Because like it's not super like structured in a way of like A B C D. It's kind of just like see where it goes and just kind of like steer the conversation as you can. Like
yeah, definitely. And I think that's like why I figured like the grouping between the two of us for this would be good, is because like I have the ability to like riff and yap over almost any subject with anybody. I love talking to people. I love learning about what they do. But then at the same time, like I'll get off the rails. I've probably already done it a couple times today, like right now. But like you're able to like, keep it organized, rein it in, make sure the product and the fucking sound quality is really nice.
Yeah.
And it's, we'll just try to complement each other going forward with this.
Right. Especially like once we have a guest on too.
Oh yeah,
I think
definitely.
it's gonna be perfect.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. Little bit more about you. There's, I mean, like I got a little bit going on, but there's way more established going on with you.
Yeah. I mean, I got a lot going on. Well, I'm an engineer. That's like my full-time job. Went to college for that. I have my master's in engineering management, and yeah, I do that day to day. But I'm also like heavily into filming, heavily into drifting, very heavily into mountain biking recently. Done the dirt bikes, all of like any action sport pretty much I've done. I mean, sometimes I still do it as a hobby, but I think like right now it's really just work 9 to 5. Well, it's actually like 7 to 4, and then go mountain biking. And that's kind of like my winter thing, and then hikes on the weekend with the crew or just my girl. And yeah, I don't know, just kind of taking life one step at a time. I don't know if I've like really been like digging into it, and then it's like I don't know. It was difficult like growing up with my dad and stuff like that, like being an engineer and all that. So I kind of got like pushed towards being an engineer.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I'm like finally realizing that like damn, like maybe I'm not meant for this. But like I'm so indulged into it that it's hard to like think of what else I could do.
So I think one of the big things I've learned in going into the path I've gone into like the world of machining and manufacturing is like even in this there's so many different itches like that you can scratch, and like different skill sets that you can like you're still in the engineering field, but like there's definitely something out there that like you don't have to completely dip out of what you're doing. You could still kind of stay in that path.
I don't know what I mean. I'm not like super happy with my current role as a manufacturing engineer. So I don't know if it's like it really might just be the type of engineering that I'm doing.
It could also just be the place you're at.
Yeah.
That's what it like. So when I was an electrician, the first shop I was at, like they were like, dude, they grinded like they were grinders, like, rough a house in a day, like, like if I wasn't moving fast enough with the hole auger drilling like holes for the services, like my boss would be yelling at me from the floor below me being like, I don't hear you moving fast enough. And I was like, dude, like is this what it's all like? Like is it just
like
under
working under pressure?
Yeah,
like
is
that?
it just like always under the gun? Like you got to be like hustling and bustling and like moving fast. And then my older cousin worked at a shop right up the road who like they preach freedom to the guys. Like they want you to have like a life. They don't want you to be stressed at work or whatever. So I went from one shop to the next shop, and like it was like a complete 180. Like it like you had freedom, like you had more breaks.
Yeah,
like
that's the biggest thing for me is like having like a healthy work-life balance.
Yeah, that's honestly that was like a big derivative of like why I have been looking for the last 6 years for something that like fits my life well. Like I you got to find a job. Like dude, no one wants to work. Like no, realistically, man.
I know, but then you'll hear the people that like love what you do and you won't work a day in your life type thing.
And I get that a little
It
bit
is true.
now. It is. Yeah, it is true. Like there are days at the shop where like dude, I do 410s minimum, like it's always more than that in the field I'm in. You got to finish something at the end of the day, and the thing you might have to finish is an extra like 75 minutes past, your 10 hours for the day.
Yeah.
So you end up pulling 11, 12 hours, and it's like, "Oh my god." Like that felt like one day. That felt like 4 hours. and it's cool, and it's nice, and the fact that, like, to finally find something that feels that way, it feels good. But that's not to say I don't friggin' hate it some days, where it's just like, I want to go home now, please.
Yeah. Like I just want to, like some days I'll just be like, oh, like if there's something coming up on the weekend, drift event, going somewhere, going like hiking, camping, something like that. Like even just like Friday, like the whole day just drags by.
Let me ask you this, because this is something that happens to me every once in a while. Is like, you ever get like that antsiness, like that anticipation, almost like a cabin fever feeling, when, like, maybe it's like the last 3 hours of the day on a Friday, like after lunch, or like anything like that, where
And like you're just like mentally checked out, or
no, like not even just not even like mentally checked out, but like, dude, like my palms will sweat sometimes, and like I have to pace around the machine or like walk around the shop.
That's just your anxiety,
dude. I'll just be like, bro, I want to get out of here right now. And it's not even that I'm unhappy, but it's just like, if my boss is like, you good, man? And I'm like, yeah, Phil, I'm fine. I just like don't want to be here right now, but like I'm okay with it right now. But it's just like, my body's just like, dude, leave, walk around, like go outside.
Yeah.
So
I mean, everyone expresses that in a different way.
yeah, exactly. I get a little worked up when it comes to stuff like that. I like get a little like high strung in those situations. So that makes sense. I just wanted to, see what your vibes were on that. But so I think that covers our, work life balance talk. You talked a little bit about what you've been doing for the hobbies and everything. I pretty much share all the same hobbies, just at like 25% of the level you do, mainly because I've never been like too established in like a career to be like, all right, I can just do this after work and like chill on it, or like,
I mean, like the tough thing is that like all of these hobbies are extremely expensive.
yeah, and like,
and not many people understand that.
Oh, dude, like
drifting is literally the most expensive, stupidest hobby ever, but it's so fun and so addicting.
Like what you guys like, dude. I remember in 2019, I was like, I was grinding as an electrician. I was making good money, and I was like, it was time to buy another toy. I had bought the dirt bike before, but then I wanted to buy the car, and I grew up on going fast with cars, like drag racing, not really drag racing per se, but like track racing and stuff like that. Like that's what always interested me, was like turns, going fast, having like a nice setup car that like felt good on back roads and everything. And then all you guys started drifting, and I was like, what's this? And then I started going to events with you guys, and then I was like, holy shit, this is
I mean, to think of like where we're at from where it started is like insane.
Yeah, and it's
like it literally just started from like a couple of kids thinking like cars were cool to like stance out,
dude,
to like literally like we only build cars now for function.
Yeah,
I mean, like styling, yes, but like at the end of the day, it's like our cars aren't low anymore.
Yeah,
like they're purposely built to do the thing.
And like I can remember in like high school and like the years after, where like we would all meet up around town with like whatever cars people had, and we would just like either like do stupid little drag racing shit, like all little stuff like that. And it's like we all were into it, but it's like as you grow up, they say that, like you don't really grow up, your toys just get bigger and more involved, and like more like you focus into it more. And I was getting ready to buy a car, and I was going to do a track car. It's like a nice like weekend car, like good on back roads, maybe like go to track events at Thompson.
Yeah, just like a good like streetable track car.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was, I think it was Brian was like, well, why don't you try drifting? And I was like, well, I bought a BMW 328 IS. I was like, well, it's kind of the perfect car to try it with.
And you're hooked.
And long story short, I've just been like stringing along, like trying to make it work. But I did a couple events, and then COVID hit, decided to do a career change, and I have never been able to justify spending the money to do it because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Like the car broke. Cars are expensive to fix. And then, the car sits, and then there's other problems with the car. So now it's just like, Brian and I have been tracking it down and just kind of like fixing all the shit one by one. And right now we're come to a T where like the car runs, drives, and like is good, like mechanically fine. And I just have doors that don't shut because the fucking locks froze one winter and now they don't work. BMW problems. Like,
yeah, that's insane,
dude. No, you hear like oh, don't buy a BMW, they're hard to work on. They're not hard to work on, I would say. Like they just, so much stupid shit happens.
Like my brother owned a BMW, and then like the windshield wipers didn't work.
It's just the dumbest shit that adds up.
Yeah.
And it's but like they do what they're supposed to well, and it's I've just been tracking down all that little bullshit, but I'm excited to make a comeback this year. I mean, we've been hiking together for a while. That never stopped.
Yeah.
Hiking's free.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing for me. And I had a conversation with Adrian. We went out to dinner a couple nights ago or last week, and we were just kind of like talking about like, yeah, like it's tough to like reason with the pricing of like drifting because like even we go to Thompson Speedway, it's like 15 minutes away from both of us,
We're
and it's
so
like
lucky.
we're gonna drop like 600 at minimum, like if we don't crash, if our cars don't break, and it's like to think of like what else you could do with that 600, like go like travel, take a whole weekend camp, like, and you're like sub $500, so it's like it's frustrating, but at the same time, drifting is just like it's so fun every single time.
Honestly, man, it's like the sense of community too. Like those events like are so much fun. Like the friendships that you guys have made, and then that like now they're like acquaintances I have through you guys. Like there's like some of the coolest people you'll ever meet. Like laid back, go getters. Like everyone's fucking ripping,
Yeah.
sending the car. Like it's a really cool environment to be in. It's so much fun. It's like it's motorsports without like that like bullshit competitive edge that can
Yeah,
ruin some
that's
of it
like
sometimes.
for me, especially like growing up racing dirt bikes and
You and
stuff
your
like
brother are
that.
legit. You
That's
guys are
like
fucking fast.
yeah, but like that's like what has like fucked me up mentally, as in like a competition state of mind, where it's like drifting was so freeing for me when I first started compared to
Yeah.
dirt biking, where it was like all you do is like you just ride to get faster, to win races, you
Yeah, like
train to win races, like everything is about like
speed.
competition.
Like
Whereas like drifting is just like, oh, like you just show up and have fun. Like
and
no one fucking cares.
and there is always that little competitive aspect of it, is like you and your friends trying to drive better together.
Yeah. There definitely is a competitive aspect to
But
it,
it's
but
almost
it's
like an
not.
optional thing that you can kind of be like, let's drive for this. Like let's
Yeah,
strive for
yeah,
this. It's not like the whole like hinging part of it. I mean, unless you do something like Street Series or another comp, but then it's like you're
exactly.
opting into the competitive edge.
Yeah,
But meanwhile, the grassroots events, it's just like go have fun and hope your car doesn't break so you can have more fun.
yeah. Like for me, I'll sit back and film Street Series, but I
God,
just
our boy Eric Peckham, shout out him. He fucking threw in Street Series this year, killed it, and like it's made.
I think third overall.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
like the little Miata that could,
for
like
real.
for real, for real. So,
Hoping that comes back next year.
yeah, absolutely.
I texted Lynch, told him I'd do it, but
What do you mean hoping it comes back?
there hasn't been like a schedule drop or
Oh
anything.
yeah, honestly, like from starting the new job in the beginning of January, and then having going to school and doing the internships before that, like I didn't realize it until we were sitting down to have this pod today, that like I've just been work, school, and then like the little bit of free time is just like trying to like decompress from like trying to learn a completely new trade and everything like that. So it's like feels good to kind of be able to refocus myself on like the hobbies again and whatnot. So I
Yeah,
haven't
you were
even.
caught up for a while.
Yeah, so I'm completely out of the loop with a lot of shit right now.
Still are. I mean, like for
Yeah.
you coming into your job, like a crazy life change.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like so before I did this job, I was trying out working in like human sources. I was working at a shelter. I wanted to really like. I love people. I love helping people. I love helping them improve their lives. So I was trying out that, and it's just like I got a bleeding heart, so it was just too much of a toll mentally on me, and so like I was in a really good position with that, and I had to bail out of it, and I was just like, let me do something where like when you leave at the end of the day, like you don't carry that with you, and like when I leave the shop, the machine's off. Like I don't have to worry about it until I have to turn the machine back on the next day.
Yeah.
So it's nice, but yeah, like I didn't even pay attention to that, but that's a really good point you bring up. It's a good point. No Street Series schedule yet. Hopefully it comes out.
Oh, back to that.
Yeah, no, we're coming. We're coming full circle now. No, I'm looping back. No, I'm trying to keep this fucking train on the rails from the get go. But yeah, that's so like that's the drifting aspect of stuff. That's a huge thing between us. That's a huge thing we're both into. Huge thing that we'll have guests on for.
I forgot to shut the boiler off.
Bro, you were like, I'm gonna let that thing run.
I was supposed to flip the switch though. Sorry if you guys hear that.
It's all good. First episode, we'll be able to hear what it's like.
Yeah.
So
I wonder how bad it will be, or if these will even pick it up. We'll
curious.
find out.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely find out. So we've covered the drifting. So I guess another good little hobby to cover that we both do together would be the hiking. Some of the
Yeah, man. Me and Salita have been going balls to the wall with it.
I know if Steph wasn't sick, we'd have been there with you more of it. My girlfriend Steph's her first year teaching, and those kids are nuking her immune system. It's I think 4 of the last 6 weeks she's been out of commission, so it's like I've just been making sure she's good on the weekends. So it's like you don't want to go out of the house too much for that. Plus, like I ain't gonna lie, like man, the machine shop ain't a conducive environment to being like, yeah, I'm gonna do shit when I get out of work with the 3 hours of spare time I have. Because
Yeah, well, you're working like 10 or something, like
yeah, I
10
do.
hour days.
Yeah, I do. 6 to 6. It's supposed to be 6 to 4:30, but it always ends up being like 6 to 5, 6 to 5:15,
Mhm.
and you got so you 30-minute drive to work. So you're leaving at 5:30 in the morning. You're getting home at 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. And realistically, everyone wants like what 7-8 hours of sleep. I'm not most people, so I've been cutting it with like 5.5, 6 right now. I know, not good.
Man.
I know that's something I got to work on.
Yeah.
But
I mean, hopefully once it gets like summer and stuff like that, you'll be
yeah,
more inclined to like do something after work.
yeah. Like I haven't like, dude, I love running. I haven't run. I can't remember the last time I ran. Like I was like that's something I'm trying to get back into.
Yeah, it's like one thing that I've tried to do is like not let winter like play a role in like me. I don't even know how to put this, but like in past years, like biking and hiking were always like once like December hits or like that like
Yeah,
30-degree weather
yeah.
hits, like that's done. You're done
Yeah,
until
like
spring.
yeah, and Steph and I were like the same way. Like we always would go for walks in the neighborhood. I live in a really nice area that you can do 3, 4, 5 mile walks without having to worry about being on a main road. So we always do that. But we love going up to the White Mountains. Excuse me, White Mountains and hiking. And it's tough. It's a brutal environment up there in the winter. So we were like, oh well, once shoulder season hits October, November, we'll bang out as many hikes in that season, like kind of like almost like getting your hiking for the winter in the fall.
Yeah.
And then just not doing anything but like maybe going to the gym once or twice a week together and like going on walks. It's like even the running, like a year ago, a year ago, like what the summer of 2023 or whatever, and whatnot, like in the 2024, the spring, like I'd be like running 3-4 days a week after work, hiking on the weekends, and then it's like come winter or whatever, it's just like, and it'd be like what I talked about, walking and maybe the gym.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Well, that's like why I'm trying to like just get outside, like literally
yeah,
like get that vitamin D.
yeah,
Like it's it like
straight
just
up.
like really is like seasonal depression is like it actually is like scientifically proven
Oh
that
yeah, dude.
vitamin D plays a big part in mental
Oh yeah.
health.
Well,
But
in the Northeast, like my doc, like I get my blood work done, my doctor would be like, yeah, you got a vitamin D deficiency, don't worry, everybody in New England has one.
yeah, so
It,
that literally just like especially like taking advantage like of the sunlight on the weekends. That's really
yeah,
when you can only do it, but it's super important.
yeah, like that's a tough thing right now, is going to work when it's dark and leaving and it's dark.
Yeah, and
It,
what I've came to realize is like as long as you can get like the right gear, like it's fine. It's
oh
really
yeah,
not bad at all.
yeah,
Because like I was always afraid of like, oh, like I don't want to go out. It's like 25 degrees out.
yeah,
But then it's
same.
like, dude, you just buy like some like cheap stuff and like you spend like $100.
You know what I would think about is like what changed it for me, like the last year, like last couple of years, is like I would think about like I grew up with a really big neighborhood of boys in the same age group, and like we would never stop playing outside in the winter, like in the fall, like the lakes around us would drain, and we would try to fucking walk on the perimeter of the lakes after school, like and like getting stuck in the mud, like
Yeah.
we fallen through the ice, like all this stuff, and we were doing it in like jeans with pajama pants underneath, and then like sweatshirts and winter jackets and boots, and like so
The OG thermals.
yeah, exactly. So like I thought about that and I was like, holy shit, I'm just being a pussy now that I'm an adult, and I'm like thinking about stuff too much.
Yeah.
And like we went on that hike right after New Year's. It was cold. It was what, like 15 degrees? No, it was like 10, 15 degrees, windy as hell. Like we did what, 5 miles in like 90 minutes, 100 minutes. Like we were moving the whole time.
Yeah.
Like we stayed warm, we were comfortable, like smoked a couple joints, not you, but me and Eric and Steph. But like it was a good time. It was easy, and it was just kind of like, holy shit.
Yeah.
As long as you got the right gear, it really don't matter.
Yeah.
And
It's like plays like perfectly to Mac Miller's new album. I don't know if you heard it.
I don't even listen to new music, man.
You need to listen to it. But one of the songs is basically about like the chorus is whatever happened to apple juice and car wheels.
Facts.
And like it's the whole song is just kind of like reminiscing on like how good and like how easy life was before adulthood, and then like the brainwash of like maturing and
it
stuff.
Really
which is like, I mean, it's part of life, but
you
at the
need
same
some
time
of it. You need some of it.
Yeah.
You need some of the maturing. Like here's not to say that like
I was saying I think you need some apple juice still.
Dude, no, apple juice gives me bad gas, so I don't drink it anymore.
All right. Maybe car wheels.
I was all right at car wheels. I'm more of a tumble salt kind of guy. You know what I mean?
All right, whatever. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, childhood.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know if you ever get them on your friggin' Instagram like feed, but like those like nostalgia core like video, it'll be like,
oh yeah,
and like
I know what you're talking about. I don't know how to explain it, but
sometimes I'll be like in bed at night, like giving a little scroll before bed, and like one of those will hit it, it'll just send me down the deepest emotional hole for like 35, 40 seconds.
Dangerous.
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh crap, because it's like, dude, I grew up with that neighborhood of like boys, like shout them out, like Logan and Elijah and Tim and Kyle, like riding bikes. You used to come over every once in a while in middle school and ride with us too around the block, and like Tim's jumps in the woods and stuff. And it's just like
there's some crazy Facebook pictures.
Yeah, we'll dig up the video maybe and play it in the future. But our boy Kyle sent like 30-foot jump. Like,
oh no, I was talking about me getting steezy with the Nike 6.0 gear on like Tim Bernard's like dirt jump that was like 2 feet long.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude, those were the days. But it's like life can still be that simple, and you can still enjoy it like that. You just kind of got to like take a step back and be like, damn, I gotta stick up my ass. I'm an adult now.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I've been doing or trying to do. I mean, it's like so easy to get caught up in like the stress of it all. I mean, like it makes sense.
I mean, like that's like for me, it's like buying my own house, moving, even like the impact of moving 30 minutes away from all my friends and stuff is huge, man. Like it sucks, but it's great. Like it's great in the aspect of like I'm on my own, like I'm like starting my own family and stuff like that. But then it's like, damn, like I wish I could just be like, yo, come over. But it's like an investment for anyone to like come here on a weekday.
Yeah, like I'm happy that you're still as close as you are. I don't really care about driving the 35 minutes it takes to get here and spend time with you and shit like that. But like in general, like it like you used to live like so much closer, and like I was used to it just being like a 10-minute drive over to Justin's in the morning or something like that. But now when like I make plans to meet at your house, like I'm regular, like I mean, like I'm still like 40 minutes later than what I say because I'm just so
40 minutes is pushing. It's like an hour.
It's like an hour, yeah. But it's like I'm so used to you being like fucking like 15 minutes, 10 minutes down the 15 minutes if I stop at the gas station and get snacks before I go to the house.
Yeah.
And now it's like different in that aspect. But like Steph and I, like that was a big thing for me is like I never like I didn't know when like I thought I was like, you know what, like I was so happy with just being on my own, and like I had life on my own completely sorted out. Like I'm just gonna like do the electrical thing, hang out with the boys, go to the shop and help them with their cars, like yada yada. Like that's all I'm gonna do. That's all. Like it was just so simple. But then you get a partner, and then it's like your life completely changes because it's not just your life anymore. It's like your lives plural.
Yeah.
Like your life plural. And so like Steph and I, we're saving up for a house as well. And it's like the age old question is like we love New Hampshire and the environment, and the house prices are, you get a lot more bang for the buck, people. Rhode Island sucks when it comes to that stuff.
And Massachusetts. I think Massachusetts is worse.
Yeah, man, because like it's crazy. Like you don't know this growing up, but living in the Northeast, like the Northeast is like a really nice area to live in. Like
that's what I was just talking to like all like the mountain bike boys the other day, and it's like, dude, we are so lucky with all of the stuff we have around New England. Like, yeah, like we're not the ones that like really like winter much, but like even with winter, like we have like amazing elevation and amazing scenery and water and ocean and like, dude, there's everything and nothing's far apart. We complain about like a 3-hour drive.
I used to complain about the 3-hour drives.
And that's like people's like drive to a grocery store in like other states.
To reemphasize that and like reinforce what you're saying there is Steph's sister and brother-in-law live out in it's around Seattle, Washington. They live out on the peninsula.
Yeah.
And they work at Seattle Children's Hospital. They're fire suppression engineers, so they have to go into work some days. They can't just work from home. And the days that they have to drive over the bridge, you don't have to apologize, bro. You didn't do that to me. You did that to yourself. They were talking about either like between taking the ferry or doing the bridge or like whatever where it was. Like they're leaving at 5 a.m. to get to a 9:30 meeting on time that they're hosting.
That's insane.
4.5 hours in the morning.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Dude, granted, they got mountains in the back, like 20,000-foot mountains out the backyard, like miles away, and like it's beautiful. Like they got the ocean and everything too still, but it's like it's so spread out in the other parts of the country because the states are bigger, the cities are further apart. You have to go further away to get like that to get that separation from the suburbs and the city.
Yeah,
if you want it. So for the Northeast, it's like, listen, like so many people in the Northeast complain about a 30-minute drive and they won't be like self-aware about it. But it's like, what did it for me is like, we love hiking up in the White Mountains. It costs money to lodge overnight. Sometimes, staying overnight bleeds into like having to work the next day or whatever. So we crank out day trips, and it's like 4.5 hours in the car in the morning, hike for 10.5, 12 hours, 4.5 hour drive home in one day. And after doing that for like a couple summers, I was like, why should I even care about driving an hour anymore to go visit friends? Like Steph has friends out in Western Connecticut from college.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I mean, this is like literally what Rhode Island is notorious for.
I know.
Is like an hour drive. I mean, I'm guilty of it too.
Oh yeah, I was guilty of it for the longest time, especially like when like all like like the circle I had is like tight and we like to go out and do stuff together. Like people are complaining about, oh, well, that's 35 minutes for me. I don't know if I could get my girl to go do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like even like most things are like close to an hour.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It's just different. I mean, I've gotten used to it for sure, but
could we play a quick edit timeout?
Sure.
I gotta go upstairs real quick. Yeah, it's just going. Well, we're back. I had to make a pit stop and had to get another bev. Where were we? Hiking.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Like, I don't know.
What else?
I mean,
we're at like 40 minutes. So
I know, but when I was like up there and we were taking the break, I was like thinking, I was like, all right, here we're here. Like, let's go to, I guess, like the next thing that we'll probably touch base and cover on a lot is definitely like a little bit of sports. Like we both do, like watching a little bit of sports as well. So
yeah,
definitely like talk about the Boston Celtics from time to time. I'm not gonna do it now because they kind of got me pissed off where they're at.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. It's a sore subject right now.
So here's a cool fact. I love Joe Mazzulla. My godfather grew up with him in Johnston. Shout out my godfather, Vinny. Very Johnston native.
Joe Mazzulla is the Celtics head coach.
Yeah, Joe Mazzulla, head coach of the Celtics. My godfather and him are tight. They grew up together. He went to a couple games with his son and everything like that. So I love, winning the championship, and the fact that like he's our coach to do it, like hold a lot of that Rhode Island pride, and the fact that like I'm like one person away from like knowing Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah,
and everything.
Joe Mazzulla's a funny dude.
He's wild.
He's
man.
So comical,
dude. I have to like after the pod, I'll have to show you some of the clips of him on the midday morning show, like the midday show on the radio. He does a weekly call-in with them, and like he said stuff on that radio like show with them because they're funny guys. Like one of them's a friggin' backup Patriots QB from the '90s. He's just a party guy, Scott Zolak. Like they get him going. And like you can tell Joe's kind of like got screws loose, and he'll just like say some wild stuff. Like the last thing I think he said that got him in trouble was like he was talking about how he wished everybody in the world had 5 coins. And the 5
dude, he always has these crazy
and the
takes.
5 coins were just like at any given time in public, you could just drop the coin on someone and be like, we're fighting right now. He's like, I feel like the world would be a much better, more like calm place knowing that at any given time you could drop a coin. Like you could get a coin dropped on you in like the line at like Walmart for pissing someone off. And like he got flack for that, and somebody definitely told him to like cut it back because in the next press conference he was like, no, like I'm not saying like you should like violence is the answer or anything like that. But it's like the dude is like he the dude's got screws loose, and I love it. But some of the problems that the team's having right now, they could maybe stem from coaching decisions.
Yeah.
So it's a tough place.
The only thing like I don't agree with his coaching style is like he's very like he has a game plan and he sticks to it no matter how the game is played.
Yeah.
And it's like I like a flexible coaching perspective where it's like you adapt to the game because like obviously every team's going to play you differently. So it's like
grew up a huge Patriots fan. Bill Belichick, the halftime adjustments is like something like I was like looking for growing up. Like every Pats game you watch, it was like that. What's the halftime adjustment? You know what I mean? Like what's the drastic change that's going to happen after halftime to adjust to the team? So it's like watching a team where it's like how they're playing in the first and second quarter is probably how they're going to be playing in the third and the fourth quarter, no matter how bad it is.
I mean, like it's not even a probably question.
It's just disheartening to watch sometimes.
It's literally just rotate the ball till you get an open three.
Yeah,
that's like the core of their play.
But I mean, that's not even just like it's just not even them. It's like the NBA as a whole. Like they've been talking.
Viewership in the NBA has gone down tremendously.
Huge this year,
down because it's so boring. Even like I'll turn on a random game sometimes and just check in. It'll be like Lakers and someone else. I don't know. And like I'll just watch it for a little bit, and then it's just like it's the same thing. It's really like the Celtics set the trend last year, where it's like they won championships off of 3-point shooting, and now a lot of teams are just catching on to that.
It's kind of like you give somebody an inch, they'll take a mile. It's like if you give a sports league an inch in one direction, then that trend will then carry into will just run out of control.
Yeah.
So like for instance, the NFL, like the passing yards, like the passing offense, the prolific offenses. Like it got to a point where like in the last 4 or 5 years, it was just like you were looking for just like the 35 to 42, like the 52 to 45, and like some games like that, especially with like the Rams offense and some other game like teams. And in basketball, it was the same thing. Steph Curry started the threes.
Yeah.
And then and it's natural though, because you got to think like when you're a kid watching a sport, like who do you look up to? Well, everyone thought Steph Curry was a badass shooting threes, so every middle schooler in AAU basketball or shooting,
he changed the game.
Yeah, you're gonna start bombing threes and like wanting to like get a crisp jumper and like be able to knock it down from anywhere. So naturally now, like a bunch of these college kids that are our age and younger now, and in a little like a year or two older, they grew up watching Steph Curry and Ray Allen and all these people just bomb threes. So like that scores points. It was Steph Curry for three. So everyone bombs threes. So it's just like it's just how things develop. And it's like, it comes to a point sometimes, like it comes to a T where it's like, it kind of starts to affect the product that you're watching. And right now it's just.
But at the end of the day, this is just evolution of change.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything
going to happen. And no matter what you want to talk about, like there's always evolution of change in it.
I mean, like we could even talk about dirt bikes. Like 25 years ago, 2 strokes.
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago, 454 strokes, 254 strokes. Now, like electric bikes are insane.
Yeah.
And they're talking about like that being the next thing and that being a transition. And it's like no matter what it is, like
Formula One, there's like F1 or whatever.
Yeah. And I think that like the motorsports are interesting when it comes to change and evolution because it's a like very regulatory driven. So like whatever let's call it the division or the class or the organization of racing that you're doing is dictated by like a voting board, and like they change the like the regulations of the sport. Like NASCAR in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like they were factory cars with souped up stuff, and like then regulations were like started bleeding into it, and then speed limiters and all this stuff to like try and quote unquote keep it competitive. And it's like, yeah, you might make a more competitive product sometimes, but at the same time, maybe you kind of dilute the product. And like, then I'm a purist, man. Like I love, like the raw aspect of things and where they started. So it's like, sometimes you kind of almost remove that stuff through these things. Like with football, like running the ball, defense. It's like, so if you just throw it into passing and like kids grow up watching Randy Moss and all these receivers, everyone wants to be a receiver. So then naturally you have less running backs and less offensive linemen and less like big tight ends blocking tight ends. And like with basketball, you have like Victor Wembanyama now, and it's like he's a 7'2" dude bombing threes like Steph Curry and like getting blocks literally getting blocks like no one else has ever in the NBA. So
except Derek White.
Your cousin from Boston. I love Derek White.
Continue.
I love Derek White. You know,
I
like
had to throw that in.
yeah. Like that. I hope the Celtics can win it again and pull it together come the playoffs. But
yeah, they got to pull something together.
It's interesting, you know. Like I listen to the sports radio all the time. Like I'll read some of the articles that come out about the team on social media, and I'll click on the link and everything, and I'll do a little bit of reading. And it's like interesting. There's a lot of different aspects and dynamics flying around the team right now, and speculation as to why what's happening is happening. I mean, like the team's up for sale, so there's some talks about like, will they have to trade someone away to cut the payroll down? Because like if it depending on who buys the team, you know, if they don't have just like an open checkbook and like it's a passion for them, then they're going to want to make money off the team. The Celtics don't own the building they're in. The Jacobs, the owners of the Bruins, own the TD Garden. So the Celtics don't get the money from the concessions and the ticket sales.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Holy shit.
Yeah. So a big thing behind the Celtics being sold right now, and why some people are saying that that's bleeding into the product on the team, is that the players know that maybe somebody has to get traded, like Jaylen Brown, or I mean Tatum's not going to get traded, but
I mean if Pritchard gets traded, I'm probably done with the Celtics.
Well, that's dude, love playoff P. See this, you're literally proving the fucking the stereotype of like green teamer Celtics players, where it's like they love their role players more than they love their fucking star players. And shit.
Yeah.
But it's like so true. But so it's like that's a big part that like they're saying is like maybe the chemistry on the team's messed up because like they may know that somebody's going to have to get traded, or it's a possibility that before the trading deadline a salary gets traded
like it's
off.
a threat in the back of their head.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of us might not be here, so it's like screwing things up. And so, you know, the prospective buyer, whoever it may be, I hope, you know what,
LeBron.
Well, he can't. He can't.
No,
not right now. He's still a player or whatever. They were talking about it on the radio the other day. So LeBron is actually in John Henry, the owner of the Red Sox, Fenway Sports Group. LeBron is a shareholder in Fenway Sports Group. So
you know, LeBron, he's a partial owner of Canyon Bikes.
If Fenway Sports Group owns Canyon Bikes, then yeah.
No, I don't know I don't know what that is, but I'm just throwing another fun fact out there.
Oh, well, Fenway Sports Group is who owns the Red Sox and the Pittsburgh Penguins. And they have a Premier League team. So LeBron is bought into them. And so I think their plan is to start an expand. So they want to be the owners of the new expansion team.
Yeah.
And
I was just saying, dude's really diverse.
No, super. God bless you. You know, LeBron James, man, he is the king. He's smart. He got that money. Like I ain't gonna hate on LeBron. I'm not gonna be a salty Celtics fan that hates on LeBron. I appreciate that greatness. But anyways, I digress to get off the ramble point here and to wrap it up. Long story short, it's like, so whoever the prospective buyer on the Celtics is may cut payroll, and then they're also going to be looking to buy land in Boston and make a stadium. So that way they own their stadium and can make the revenue off that, you know, host concerts and everything. So the team's in a weird spot. You just came off a championship season, and I mean, it's just weird. It's a weird dynamic for a team to have to balance because the players, it's completely out of their control. There's nothing they can do about it. And so that's probably all it is. Yeah, I guess. So those are really all the things we hit on. Those are all the things that, you know, like interest us a decent bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been almost an hour. That's like our goal for each episode. Obviously, with a guest, it can definitely be more.
Oh yeah, definitely with a guest, it'll be a little bit more. But you know, this was just like a nice kind of iron it out, talk about the interests, what we'll talk about, and I think, you know, one thing that we'll cover with the guests a lot is, you know, like what they do, what their interests are, you know, if they feel like talking about their careers, or if they feel like their careers are cool and they're passionate about it, you know, we'll dive into that. Not everyone's going to want to do that. Some people are just going to want to talk about their hobbies and everything separate from that. But it's just kind of like an all-encompassing, like what you have going on, like what's your life calling? How'd you get to that point?
Yeah, like essentially we just want to learn about people and learn what their life calling is.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Learn about their backstory. Like, I mean, everyone has a story. So
yeah, like there's so many people, like so many of our friends that like you talk to them about their job and it's actually like pretty cool and it backs up what they do for their hobbies all the time, and it kind of like coincides with everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just I feel like not everybody knows or like takes a second to stop and like look at themselves that way. Like for the longest time, like I was just like like day to day to day to day. And I was like, oh man, like I ain't got nothing going on. I'm kind of a bum. And then I'd be like, kind of look at my stuff and be like, oh wait, no, like no, I was like in New Hampshire and we were at a drift event and we were doing wake surfing. And then I went up to upstate New York, and then it's like I'm like, oh wow, no, and it's like you talk to some of your other people you know, and you're like, oh no, like I actually got shit going on.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like that meme where it's like the guy's head, and then it's just like in a car, at work, at home, in bed,
exactly.
in a car, at work.
Yeah,
like, it's
exactly.
Just, yeah. It's the cycle, like day to day life. Like, yeah, it can like wear you down and make you think that like you're not doing anything with your life, but like I promise you, everyone is.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like even if you're just like super passionate about like I met this guy. It was one of my buddies, best friend from college. We went out to a bar, and like yeah, all this dude, he's like a big financial banker kind of person, and like yeah, all he did was like go to work, but then like you started cracking him open about like movies, and it turns out he runs a fucking Sopranos Twitter account, and he just like tweets Sopranos quotes, and then he has another Twitter account that he runs, and it's like about movie reviews and like a daily movie review.
This is what I mean, dude. Everyone like
yeah, and he's got
people will do random stuff like this that no one knows about.
Yeah, like 150,000 followers on each account, and I'm like, what? So then like we spend an hour at fucking the bar just like talking about like his movie watch list, like his must watches, like all this crazy stuff. And it's like the dude was super passionate about it. And I learned more about cinema in that 2 hours drunk conversation at the bar. And like going forward to this day, I watch a movie and that dude changed the way I watch a movie. So it's just like you never know what you're going to get out of somebody.
Yeah.
Like you just never know who it is, who you're talking to, or like, you might have a good friend and then just like there's some interest they have that they just like, oh no, that's just whatever. But in reality, it's like, no, like let me get into that. And then once they realize somebody wants to like learn about it, it's like it's you see the passion behind it. And it's like if you have a passion for anything, but I don't care if you have a passion for drawing fucking straight lines on a paper with Sharpie. I promise you that if you're into it enough, there's something to talk about. Just saying.
You'll get it out of them if there is.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like I'll inspire somebody to fucking realize that their life's more interesting than they think it is. Cause like I was there at one point. So I don't know, man. I guess
I mean, you just summed it up.
Yeah.
So I don't even have anything else to add.
I guess
all I have to add is that check your Insta DMs because LifeCall Podcast might be in there.
Yeah, we'll reach out. We're shameless. I don't care. I need help. We need content, people.
Yeah.
So if you want to come on and ramble, have some Arizona, cowboy cocktails.
Yeah, I mean we got Savage Pub Bar right over there.
Yo, come over, play some pool,
have some drinks, play some darts,
maybe a little bit of Switch, Nintendo Switch. That's another thing we like to hit on. We love the Switch nights.
Yep.
Little Mario Party, little Mario Kart.
I have to just bring the Switch here, put it on the TV.
A dead ass. If you just want to come on with your boy and talk about drifting and play some Switch with us, like that's completely open too. Like that's the cool thing going forward is like, it's not just going to be a sit down and have a little conversation with the TV black. Like
no rules.
No rules. The only rule we have is that I'm not allowed to ramble too much and make everyone disinterested in what we're talking about.
Nah, you did great this episode.
Yeah, I know. I'm proud of myself.
You're really good.
I know. I didn't ramble too hard.
No.
Yeah, no. All right. Are we can call it there?
Yeah. I mean, I hope everyone enjoyed this. Look forward to more episodes in the future. We've been slacking, but there's been a lot of shit going on in both of our lives.
Facts.
So.
Yeah, a lot of fucking change.
Finally, I think like this, like episode 1 was really like the icebreaker to like like set us on a path forward. It like the toughest one was the first.
Well, we had that first episode, and like me and Eric, like we sat down for that, and then it's like the audio was shit, and then it's kind of like
discouraging.
Yeah, and then honestly, and then the holidays happened.
Yep.
So it's just kind of like new year, new momentum going forward.
Yeah.
All right. This has been Justin Rakovitz and Brendan Varon on episode 1 of the LifeCall podcast signing out. Have a good night, people.
Later.